Hello and welcome back to RoadToArceus. Again, doing this voiceover stuff, and today we're playing Roaring Moon, which I know I said in the last video I'm not liking and enjoying. So I wanted to really dive into it and think, you know what, let's give it a go. And what's interesting about this list is it has the protective goggles, which means it can't get hit by weakness. And I thought, that's kind of funky. I'm pretty sure this is a list I might have found on Limitless or something like that, if I'm honest. But either way, I was like, let me give it a try. We are in the Pokeball League with Bulbasaur, we're at the 500 CP range, or RP, I guess you could say. I don't know why I keep saying CP. Competitive points? Rank points? ptcgl has been out for ages, and we still haven't figured out a name for this thing yet. I'm going to keep calling it RP, but I'll probably keep forgetting and calling it CP. Anyway, we're playing against Jolteon. Now, I have to confess, right? This footage is from like a couple weeks ago. I recorded this just kind of in my spare time. But of course, the deck list videos are my priority. They're the ones that are more fun to make for me, I think, when it comes to like recency and stuff like that. Making new interesting decks all the time is what I really enjoy about the game. However, sometimes, like on a day like today, it's nice to just make a RoadToArceus video, which I like anyway. I do enjoy these kinds of videos, and I think this format is quite nice for it. Apparently in the comments, it seems to be quite respected as well as a good method for keeping this series alive, because I've mentioned in the previous video, it just isn't feasible in all of the other ways of my making content. So this seems to be the best way. So sit back, relax, and yeah, I was going to say literally what everyone says every time something is on that's going to last for a long time. Sit back, grab some popcorn, grab your wife and sit her down and force her to watch it with you, even though she doesn't want to do it and she's just doing it because she loves you. And then just, you know, have a good time. Anyway, let's get past that. So we're playing with Roaring Moon, which, yeah, as I said, I mentioned before, I just wasn't feeling, and every list I tried, it just didn't feel right. And I decided to try out this list and go, you know what, let's give Moon a go, because I do have the cards on this account, and I don't want to just keep playing Maridon and keep going for that Iron Hands. And you'll see how it went today. So, obviously, look at this. My opponent, we've brought him down literally to the literal brim of nothing, and they're obviously going to just give up, which is fair. And we're obviously going to go and collect some rewards here. It's obviously very important in the series that we do this, because we cannot use any external resources. We can't get anything from ptcgl store. Use code FTW 5% off. We can't do that. None of that stuff. We have to just do everything raw. Anyway, yeah, so that was a nice little start for us. And the reason I want to try Moon as well is because it kind of followed that beat stick idea that I had of a deck that's very good for grinding the ladder, a deck that's very fast paced, that's just going to win you a lot of games. This Donny over here seems to be very emotive. I have no idea why. Either a kid or a very immature adult, which is basically still a kid. Anyway, I wanted to try out the Moon and give it a go and go, okay, I still want a fast deck. I still want something different though. And I had the Moon and I said, let me see. And I'll tell you what, recently now, it's been quite fun playing Moon, actually, to be fair to you. There's another scoop there. There you go. They just kept emoting and then quit. So I was like, okay, sure thing. They're probably just a kid. But yeah, Moon, interestingly enough, I've really enjoyed recently a lot of. Again, it's just one of them decks that I guess it does actually fit my type of vibe. And I think that made me really enjoy it is learning how to like use these energy switches properly, because you know, the Moon decks I was trying originally was trying to incorporate Greninja's Moonlight Shuriken, but that's when it just got a little bit too much for me. Not in the sense where it's too complicated, but it just felt a bit more inconsistent, and it felt a bit more like, right, you know, there's turns where I want to hit with the Moon and I haven't got it going, or, you know, I just really much preferred the straight Moon route. And if I needed a single prize attacker, then, you know, I could at least go in with the Morpeko, which seems to do the job. So I was like, okay, let me just go with that. I understand how good the Greninja is. Like, let's say in this example, if I was able to pull it off, that would have been a game. Obviously, that would have been victory. But I just found more success in general by just playing Moon on its own and trying to fine-tune that. Because you're trying to talk about a stretch of games here. We're not talking about the 1 or 2. Another dub there. See, look, we're just winning. We're talking about a stretch, right? We're talking about a load of games. And when it comes to that, the techs matter less. What matters more is consistency. What matters more is being able to perform again and again and again. Yes, you're going to miss out on some of these interesting options, but you know, what's more important is just winning far more consistently. So that was my idea. Look at this. We actually have a moon mirror, which I thought, okay, this is going to be interesting. However, I have the advantage. I'm going second, right? In a more roaring moon matchup where the odds are you're always going to be able to get an attack off and get a good attack off, going second is quite strong. Unless, of course, they promote more Peko and force you to KO that. That's a way to balance off the prize trade, or sorry, change the prize trade. Now, my job here is obviously to try and get a more Peko out too. And go, right, I see what you're doing here. I need to get myself more Peko. So that's the first thing I bench. And I'm like, yeah, do you know what? I have to more Peko. And the great thing is if I do pull off more Peko here, I can actually get a KO with it. But if you look in here, we still need some stuff because this is a bit awkward. Having to research away so many important resources there was very detrimental. However, for some reason, I thought I still had concealed cards. I managed to pull off the Morpeko, which is absolutely massive in this matchup because, of course, I come under Morpeko. I take out their Morpeko, meaning they're probably, unless they get themselves another Morpeko going, they're going to have to come up and take a KO with a 2-prizer that I can then KO, which is a very, very big deal. Now, they bench the Mew, which tells me, okay, now I have the advantage here. Not only am I a prize ahead, but I'm actually ahead of that prize trade as well, I think, at this rate. Yeah, because if they KO me, I KO them. They KO me, I KO them, I win. So yeah, I'm still ahead of that prize trade. And not only that, I also have a single prize winning active, but they're probably going to have to KO here, which pretty much sets a lot in stone. Now, interestingly enough, you can see with this list, there was that protective goggles, not really needing it so far. But with a bit of hindsight, I'm starting to enjoy Moon without the tool cards, just a bit more room for other options, I think. As I said, I don't know if this was my list or if to be honest, it was a while ago, so I don't remember. I think I took it from somewhere, unless I was just curious. I wanted to put the goggles myself, just to cover some grounds, but you know, there's not really much grass decks around, you know what I'm saying? There's not much going on where it's really necessary to play. So yeah, no, it's kind of counterintuitive what I was saying earlier about, you know, taking weird things in. But, you know, this was a bit more of an earlier stage of me learning to kind of work with Moon and play with Moon. The one card I really like, though, is that Moltres. It's so good, man. It's so good in Moon because not only can you have an attacker that can come out of nowhere because of its ability, but more importantly, it gives you the Forest Seal Stone. And that is crucial. When I was first trying out Moon, I wasn't really playing the Moltres. And going for the Forest Seal Stone plays. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, how could I not do that? the Forest Seal Stone is so critical because, I'm sorry, if your deck has an option to just find any card, you gotta take it, right? If you can find a way to fit that in, it's absolutely critical. But this many tools, though, I'm surprised I didn't play Town Store, or unless this list did, and I'm bugging. But anyway, it's going in that exact direction that we anticipated of just simply KO, win. And I always had an out here. And here we are getting that Moltres, still chilling. Oh, I don't have a Town Store. There you go. Bob's your uncle. Look at me talk and waffle all the time. The Town Store is actually quite good in this case then, of course, because you find your Forest Seal Stone a lot quicker. So it seems as though this list is very heavy on the Forest Seal Stone, but it's performing. I mean, it's not letting us down, is it? So far, we're undefeated. So why not? Who doesn't love feet? Anyway, they're going to promote the Mew. And it's kind of checkmate, right? Because I have boss in hands. They have to disrupt me. They probably have an Iono, but whether or not they play it, that's one thing. I haven't paid too much attention to what was going on to my opponents. So I don't know if they've played it or not. So I'm sure you watching probably knows. But they go for a Churro, and that pretty much sets it in stone, right? There's nothing they can do. They can KO me, and I can just respond with a KO on that Mew with a boss's orders, which I think is exactly what I plan to do here. So we're putting up the Moltres, and then just going for a boss and KOing it with the weakness, which we didn't even need to do, of course, 180. And that's another dub on the board. On to the next one. You see, look, we're 9 minutes in and we're 3 games down. That's a whole video. You know what I'm saying? That's like a 25 to 30 minute video normally, but we're 9 minutes in and we're knocking out these games. This is why I like this format, because I can just get so many games out of the way and we can really climb the ladder at a speed that doesn't, you know, cause problems with the ladder reset. Obviously, I still need to do some more footage now, actually thinking about it. Anyway, we're starting off something here, and we are going to get that Morpeko out. Of course, we have that weakness with Morpeko, which is nice. But of course, primarily it's just there for like an attacking option. But the hand here doesn't look too great. We're getting some very harsh discard there, losing that Greninja, which is quite good. And it seems as though we're playing Miraidon. So going first in a Miraidon matchup isn't good. You don't really want that because once they take a KO, it's kind of problematic. Of course, they need to find their Miraidon, and they are taking a long pause there. It's a peony build, so they can do that. They need to find a Miraidon and get a Zapdos out. And unfortunately, they had to charge up the Raikou, so they probably won't get a KO on my Moon this turn. And the great thing is I can get one back. So unfortunately, they've had a bit of a weird start for what they would really be needing here. But they didn't even bring the Zapdos down. Is that something they're planning to do here with the other? No, they didn't tandem unit. So interestingly enough, I was thinking of maybe tandem unit for a Zapdos to try and fix the maths, but they're not doing that. They're just coming at Raikou, and this is kind of where it falls apart for my opponent already. Whether or not, to be fair, I genuinely have no memory of how these games go, so I'm kind of going with it as well. I think I said that in the last video as well, but kind of like it like that sometimes. So I actually have no idea how this game's going to pan out, but looking at it, right, it's already in my favor now, right? Because they're going to hit me here, fine, but I take the first KO. It's a beat stick matchup where it is simply he who takes the first KO wins, right? That's the, we need to make a name for that. We need to make it, should we call it For the Win's First Law? He who takes the first KO wins. Oh, we call it the beat stick law. There we go. It's the beat stick law. He who takes the KO first wins. And that's how we're running it here. So let's see if that prophecy comes to fruition. Obviously, there's things that can be done. They can offset the price shade with a single prizer, but they don't seem to be having one that's strong enough to do that. It'd be a great turn now for them to get Zapdos out and just go for a swing, but I have Boss, and I quite enjoyed that. So yeah, I don't know if this deck plays a high. Does this deck play Cross Switcher? I haven't seen anything come out Cross Switcher wise. Is there a Cross Switcher here? I don't know if this displays Cross Switcher. I haven't seen it yet. I'll keep an eye out for it. I'm sure it does. But I really like Cross Switcher in Moon. In fact, I really like Cross Switcher in Cross, not Quas. Croissant. I really like Cross Switcher in Pokestop Mew decks. Decks that have like a high Mew count and high Pokestop count. They're really, really good. Because I'm actually building a deck now for a video that's it's a bit, you know, hot and cold right now. So I'm trying to make it more consistent. But it's really funky, and it does have that kind of engine, and it does really work when it pops off. When it pops off, it pops. Either way, Blood is waffling. Well, this whole video is me waffling. I'm talking about. Yeah, it's going in that same process of he who takes the first KO, because of course they have to come and take me out, and they have to do it for 2 prizer. That said, they can come in here with the Zeraora. It hits 30 damage. I haven't got a tool card in there. Look at me. See, I'm spamming it. They could have gotten Zeraora. I'm sitting there going, hello, Zeraora me. But no, this is clearly, unfortunately, a lack of experience in the Pokemon TCG. They had a very clear option to just simply Zeraora and force a problem, because but my hand doesn't really have an insane level of acceleration to fully get a Moon going. Well, now I do. But I'd have to play the Status Vitality. And look, there's a KO there. I think that was unfortunate. That was not because of me outplaying my opponent. That's because my opponent misplaying. That would have disproven the beat stick law. He who takes the first KO wins. That would have been different, because they would have come up with that Zeraora, taken a KO. I didn't have the tool card available to prevent that. And we would have seen a completely different game there. That said, I would have promoted the more Peko. Oh yes, I wouldn't even know what to do. I had the switch card, so I could have probably got a more Peko going and at least taken a swing. But yeah, that would have offset the price trades to a massive degree. So we're playing the Claw. So I'm sitting there going, okay, how are we going to go about this? Because I have no idea how this matchup works. And I think it's actually lacking in our favor because of the fact that, well, you know, it's the Claw. And they also play the Electrode, which is a weakness. So the goggles could actually apply here, where we could actually be able to remove that weakness problem. And even then, right? Sorry, burp there. Even then, all they need to do is get a Sneasler down and, you know, pull off a Curry. And then next thing you know, they are taking a 1 KO regardless of weakness. So, you know, there's that. So I decided, you know, I'm just going to go in the Moon and just take a KO. They obviously haven't got the best hand, right? They have got like the Claw and stuff in play, but they need to find themselves, or get rid of Morpeko there, interesting enough. They had to, sorry, I like Morpeko. I think it's really good. Yeah, they obviously have to get a Bibarel, but now let's get a Bibarel and a Pivot and a Claw, which is it's not too hard for my opponent to do that. They do actually instead get the Electrode, which is of course important, finding that Forest Stone, which will get them that draw. Now, we don't have the goggles, so they can just 1-hit KO us here. They can definitely do that, But it does give us a 2 prizes to take, which can help. But this is a matchup that Moon doesn't really like if I'm going off a first impression basis of this matchup. Because, you know, not only do you have a weakness hitter, which is quite a big deal because you don't need so much now for that electrode. But interestingly enough, they actually don't even hit the KO, which is mental. But you also have single prizes, and Moon is going to struggle against single prizes because it's a 2 prize single prize trade. You know, as long as you can respond to that Moon, you know, there you go. The one thing Moon has going for it in a single prize trade, a matchup, sorry, is the fact that it can Calamity Storm, as you see me doing here, meaning I don't have the Frenzy Gouging, and I can just take some very comfortable KOs. But it's a bit more difficult, of course, for the Moon. And really the way to play around it is just to keep like single prizes coming up and swinging and maybe setting up better attackers and developing your board as I try and just run through them. You know what I'm saying? So that's usually how you'd go about it. But here, they had a bit of an unfortunate turn with that electrode, not being able to pull off a full KO, which just gives me a massive advantage now because, fine, they might be able to take a KO here, but I only need to take 3 prizes. And if I get a simple boss's orders, I can take out that electrode. But they're going to come up again with the electrode because obviously they didn't find the turbo. That's the one thing Claw has going against it, is just a lack of turbo. Claw's fallen off quite a bit though, hasn't it? It really has fallen off. It had a big mainstay. It had a moment, didn't it, where it was like really out there doing well in some tournaments online, and then just kind of falling down the wayside. I think that's because of the inconsistency of it, right? The fact that you couldn't get your turbos as well. Is that why? Or because, I mean, if you're talking about the meta share of how big Charizard is, those electrodes look very juicy. You know what I'm saying? Those electrodes look very, very juicy. So, yeah, I'm curious. Either way, I'm now just planning on securing myself here, having to Frenzied Gouging, but having that Galarian Moltres means that I can just simply boss up anything for game if I find a boss. And here I was sitting there thinking, okay, yeah, if they come up with an electrode here, it's a problem, right? Because I don't have anything to charge up. My only attacker right now looking at my board is probably a Moltres. That said, of course, if they do get anything else, then... So if I get a Satyr, then I can definitely put it off. But let's go for an Escape Rope. But unfortunately, that just means I will win because I can now Frenzied Gouging. So they just got the wrong cards at the wrong time, unfortunately. That gave us the dub. That was a matchup where things could have been problematic. What the hell was... Why is that coin like... What the hell is that coin doing? Is that just me? That coin like it was bugging out, bro. What the hell? Anyway, so this now, going into this game, this was actually the next day. So I recorded those games, and I was like, okay, that's part 1. Let's get those games out of the way. And now we're in the next day where I was like, let me, play some more games with this in my downtime and continue the game set. So yeah, how many games is that now? I don't know. Is this like game number 6 or 7? I don't know. It's crazy. Absolutely wild. Anyway, we're playing the Zard, which, I mean, I think that these 2 decks have been around long enough now that I'm sure a lot of people understand how it works, but I haven't played Moon enough to get it. I mean, I have the first brain, good English. The first idea of, oh, look at that. Actually, this is why I like Morpeko so much. Just being able to take out a single prize like this and, still keep energy in play. It just feels so good, man. I love that. I mean, yeah, if you use the, again, for lack of a better term, first impression of this matchup, right? You would think Moon wins because it can just Oko Charizard like it's nobody's business, right? And usually Charizard's way of dealing with it, I'm assuming, is just single prizes. Charmeleon, Charmander attacks. And just taking those KOs and until your opponent kind of falls off. But yeah, I want to know in the comments, why does Moon struggle against Zard if it does? And if it doesn't, why is it not, again, having much success in regionals and stuff? Because Charizard is absolutely everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. It's the deck to counter right now. Is it because of the matchup spread overall of Moon? Is the matchup spread not great? I know it goes pretty poorly into Gardevoir, but Gardevoir's taking a bit of a dip. Why is... maybe there's another deck. I'm trying to think of some decks out here. Lost Box. I guess it doesn't go well into Lost Box. Yeah, Sableye will probably have a field day with you. But then if you're worried about that, just play Jirachi, no? What else would work in that way? I'm trying to think. Either way, look, I Frenzied Gouging here. I'm trying to just think of other decks that would really give more Roaring Moon a hard time. And I can't really think of any, to be fair to you. I know that Miraidon's pretty much a coin flip matchup, where it's like, well, whoever goes second first just basically wins. Sometimes we saw that game earlier where they should have zero-ordered. So I'm just really trying to give it a hard think and go, oh, what's going on here? Why not? So anyway, we're looking pretty strong here. And from here, we really just need to keep frenzy gouging and we just technically win. So who's to say we do, though? That said, we have been undefeated, haven't we? I think we've won a ton of games. In fact, the thing at the end of part 1, I didn't include the clip, but I went and showed that I was on a 6-win streak. So I'm not picking out games. I can't pick out games for this, right? The whole point of this series is for me to just play and we win or lose. Regardless, that's the journey, right? So I can't actually pick games, even if I wanted to. So there you go. Either way, I cannot, unfortunately, go for a Calamity Storm if I want to take this KO. I should really be using Frenzy Gouging. I really should be. I'm giving it a think here, and I think I've done what I'm trying to consider here. I'm trying to consider something, but I think I do just Frenzy Gouging. I KO myself, but I take the prizes there, and all I need afterwards is a boss for game. So that is the decision I make. Whether or not it pans out that way, we'll have to wait and see. Here's the downside, though, and the thing I completely didn't realize at that moment is they've got Pidgeot out still. They can Charizard and just boss because I'm offering 2 prizes as well. Maybe that's what I was considering and thinking, do I go for that? Or do I maybe I should have swung with Moltres and just, thrown in a hit and wait for the Charizard to come out and then fancy gouging it. But I guess that's what it is. I guess the fact that you give up 2 prizes so easily for Charizard to take, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what makes it difficult. Anyway, there's our first loss, an unfortunate one. So maybe, looking at that, maybe that's how Charizard Moon has a problem. But either way, I'd love to have a bit more of an elaboration in the comments if that's possible, because I want to understand it more, which helps in the future. For these kind of videos, we are playing the Miraidon. And what is it? It is called the Beat Stick Law. He who KOs first wins. They're standing up quite strongly, but they are going first. They're going to attach and retreat to Raikou here. We have a lovely double VIP pass coming for us here, and that's lovely. 2 moons down, get ourselves a Mew, and we get a Moltres. And yeah, we don't get more Petco. I'm sitting there going, Greninja's probably better here. And because of that town store, we will have access to the, I was going to say the VIP pass. No, we get rid of the VIP pass there, but we have access to the Forest Seal Stone as well. But look at this, a bit of an awkward one, isn't it? A very, very awkward one. I don't know if I realized I actually have my Forest Seal Stone here. I think I do realize that. Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to use that, and I'm probably going to get a City's Vitality if I'm correct. And we're going to have to just kind of pray that we get something off of this. Oh, look at that. How rough. So I've had to go into a Greninja. A big opportunity for us to take the lead and really cause some problems. Now, all they've got to do is boss something up. And that is, again, a very troublesome thing. He who takes the first KO wins. Will that pan out? They get a boss's orders. They bring up my Moon. They've got a path in play, which is slightly annoying, but not the end of the world. I'm sitting there going, uh-oh, we're in trouble. We need to turn the tide of this game. And Iona might be the play, looking at my hand now. And we go for it. There we go. We go for the Iona. Look at me being big brainers. And now I have to sit there and go, right, if it's not a matter of just taking a KO, now it's a matter of disruption at this point. And try my best to make my opponent whiff a turn. Because if they whiff a turn, the prize trade again switches in our favor. What I really like, so I have another Iona here. I'm really thinking about benching, attaching that energy. So I'm thinking I could just recover energy anyway. So I don't really need to do that, but I do attach it anyway. So there you go. Especially, yeah, maybe I should have done that, especially considering I have Greninja's concealed cards in the field. What is this, Yu-Gi-Oh? In play. Jesus Christ. So here's to hoping that that's done enough to turn the tide, and it looks like it has. We get the top deck of the boss's orders. How beautiful is that? Oh, look at that. I'm like, yes, baby. Let's go. Boss's orders there is chilling, but I'm really considering things. I don't know why. Just take the KO, Sean. You absolute fraud. There we are. Frenzy gouging. Maybe I was worried about a follow-up because I now pretty much need a boss again in order to win the game. And the Moltres isn't actually strong enough to take a KO on whatever comes up. So it's a pretty important thing to consider. So we promote the Mew, of course, the free retreater. That's great and all. And we need another Moon, but there is one. And we have pretty much what we need. Yeah, we have the Dark Patch. We have the Energy Switch. And that's why Energy Switch with the Moltres is so good. There you go. GG. That wasn't necessarily he who takes the first KO wins. We switched up the prize trade. That's the power of Iona. Showing and going, right, if you're falling behind on prices and it's looking like it's going out of your favor, your job is, right, if the price trade is out of your favor, your job is then to switch that favor. Your job is to go, right, this is just from my personal experience in playing. Obviously, I'm not a professional, right? I've only been playing this for 5 years. Anyway, listen, we know how bad I am. I don't need to go into that because otherwise I'll just get depressed. Anyway, Jesus Christ, I just can't stop talking out of my backside. If poo was an airport, if poo could fly, my mouth would be an airport. That's what people say, right? That was disgusting. And now I forgot what I was saying. Ah, yes. If you're in that matchup, right, this is just kind of my thought process, right? In the comments, let me know if I'm wrong, but I'm trying to summarize this kind of these patterns in these games, right? So, and what I mean is, you're in that beat stick matchup, right? The beat stick law, he who KOs first wins. It's a simple matter of disruption at that point. So if you are behind on the prize trade, your best bet is to disrupt your opponent to whiff a turn, which gives you the turn to catch up or switch that prize trade in your favor. And that's a lot of what playing Pokemon is trying to get ahead of that prize trade, keep ahead of that prize trade, and if you're behind, turn the tide of the game to switch it. And that's why Iono and N and stuff are so powerful, because it allows you to do that, which is a critical strategy and component in the game. And that's why when we didn't have that crazy comeback disruption card, that's why Judge was still seeing play, because Judge was the only option of like, well, it's my chance to switch that prize trade in my favor. And make a comeback. And it seems like anyway, as Pokemon themselves have clarified, that we are just walking into that anyway. But yeah, nice and easy win. I don't know why I'm taking so long. I had to say this Vitality there, but I decided to go for that extra route of using the Moltres and taking a KO there. And that's another easy victory on that. So a lot of, again, you can see it, right? And this is proving the point I said at the beginning, right? Having decks that are just very straightforward to the point, and this build seems to be quite consistent as well, which is nice. And it's just let me take so many quick wins, so many quick dubs that maybe other decks wouldn't have done. You know, Gardevoir definitely wouldn't be going this fast up the ladder. And Charizard, I guess you could say as well, is a little bit on the slower side. Obviously, they're not worse decks. Just because the deck's slower doesn't mean it's worse. But when it comes to ladder grinding, these decks are just the best. These are the ones that you just get out there. Obviously, that doesn't mean I'm not going to play these other decks. You know, I want to be able to play Charizard, but I just can't, funny enough, afford it. That's the challenge, I guess. Obviously, the challenge of this series is the fact that I have to be able to afford these things. Did I get rid of 2 Iono there? Oh yeah, I did, because I'm gonna squawk, so it doesn't matter. Interesting that I didn't actually go for a switch cart there. Very, very, very funny that. That's very strange. Why didn't I do that? Is it because I thought that the Vitality would only actually accelerate to the bench? Was I confusing it with Gardenia or something? That's very strange. Yeah, because can I double dart patch you, or am I bugging? How am I doing it? Okay. What's my discard pile saying? I'm a bit confused. I'm very confused. Oh yeah, boss looks good here, actually. Oh, boss looks very good. What am I doing? I'm getting a switch cart, but I could just energy switch. Wait a second. Oh no, I only had the one. Okay, that's fine. All right. But I had an Ultra Ball and 2 energy. Do you know what? It's all right. See, this is the stuff where I look at it and go, huh, why am I not doing that? So I didn't play the boss because I think I played a Status Vitality beforehand. Okay. Yeah, this is a questionable game. You can tell my brain's starting to fry a little bit, I think, because I'm making choices that are a bit strange. Like, shouldn't I do the Ultra Ball and energy switch, and then I don't have to use my Forest Stone for a switch cart? No? I don't know. But getting rid of a Manaphy is nice. Also, pretty happy this isn't the Pidgeot build by the looks of it. Meaning they don't have that, you know, get Pidgeot, get Charizard attack play, which is probably the most powerful thing about Charizard is just how quick it gets out. And how good Pidgeot is at just, like, to be fair, Charizard just seems quite simple. Get Charizards out and just boss everything. That's really it, right? Take out the low HP attackers. And I guess that's the strategy against the moon, right? Take out the Squawks, Lumineons and stuff like that. That's why there's Penny there, but, you know, you get Penny when you get Penny. Sometimes you just don't because of high discard, right? Either way, they really whiffed. They really whiffed. And I'm probably thinking, do I take out the Rotom? Or do I take out a Charmander? Let's see if I get greedy. Nope, I decided to take out a Charmander going, do you know what? There's no point because I can't Calamity Storm. I'm going to have to just sit there and take out a Charmander, which, again, isn't still terrible. I still have 290 HP, so good luck taking me out, Charizard. You know what I'm saying? Good luck, my friend. So that goggles. Here's an interesting thought process, right? Those goggles that we had in this deck, is it better replacing that with a devolution TM then? If Charizard is that potent, you know, throw a DMT evolution, attach it to your Morpeko, boom, you know, then you can maybe win. And maybe remove something else for a slot of a Jirachi for Sableye problems. And therefore, you've covered a lot of ground for all these kind of decks. That's just thought process. Funnily enough, they have the Toadscrawl, which bit me in the backside yesterday in yesterday's video. If you didn't see it, what was I playing? I was playing Tapu Koko, actually. A Tapu Koko exclusive deck. Exclusive. And Charizard EX actually played a copy of Toadscrawl EX, which prevented effective attacks. So they had a baby Toadscrawl there, which means if they had the EX, they actually would have prevented Moon. And that's how you deal with Moon as a Charizard player. So, yeah, this format seems to be quite, thinking about it, it seems to be quite good, doesn't it? It's got like counter, and then you can counter a counter, and that's kind of how you want the format to be. Here's an interesting thought, thought candy, I guess you could say. Food for thought. I was watching Trust Your Pilot's stream yesterday, and he was talking about an interesting thing where, and he posted it on Twitter primarily, where Metagross, he was showing a picture of Metagross from, I think it was like the Diamond and Pearl era, I don't remember. Was it Diamond? Honestly, I'm not going to remember that. That's just impossible for me. And the weakness wasn't ×2. The weakness was +30. So you see how we have resistance of -30 when you are hit. The weakness wasn't multiplied. It was just 30 extra damage. Now, does that make sense compared to the VGC? Right, the VGC you hit a lot more. Is VGC ×2 as well? I don't remember. I haven't played VGC in God knows how long. So if there's any VGC players, then let me know. So maybe the ×2 might line more up with the VGC. But I'm curious about how the meta would look, right? Because the meta is the massive part of the meta is weakness, right? It's a huge part of the meta. You know what I'm saying? I'm curious as to how that would go, because yeah, it's super important, because you probably remove the triangle matchups, the triangle meta you can get a lot of the times, where it's like weakness versus weakness versus weakness, where one deck's so strong, so then the counter deck comes out and that deck's strong, and then you've got to counter that one, and it's like a triangle where each deck beats the next one very easily. I remember that kind of meta. But yeah, genuine food for thought. Would that be a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I'm wondering if it's a bad thing or not, because you'd be able to hit things for weakness, and that can give you a better advantage. Either way, that's another dub there. And we are sitting high up at 660. All the way down from Bulbasaur. A very straightforward and steep climb. That would have taken me about 5 episodes otherwise. So that's going to be that. We're going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. And I hope you stay tuned for the next episode, where hopefully we go up to Houndoom. Take care.